Welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast, the place where we talk about getting businesses seen, remembered and chosen. I'm Joanne Pearce, a visibility specialist and friendly northerner, wife, mum and someone who's built 2 businesses from the ground up on nothing more than a wing and a prayer and sheer determination. I help independent businesses from around the world get found using honest, down-to-earth marketing grounded in real-life business experience. I believe that every business owner has a story to tell, and that story deserves to be at the very heart of their marketing. This podcast is for businesses of all kinds, whether you sell products or services, work locally or globally, are big or small, and you want to be found without relying solely on social media. Expect real stories, honest conversations, a good dose of northern humour, and simple visibility advice that will actually move the needle for your business. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. So what are we talking about this week? Well, if you have listened to my podcast before, you will know that whenever I encounter something or something happens to me, whether it be on a weekend or while I'm working, I am making mental notes all the time about how this can relate into a podcast episode that is going to help you as business owners, okay? And this weekend just gone was no different as we took a family trip to the cinema. This is quite a rare thing for our family to do. I think we've only ever been as a family 3 times to the cinema. But my daughter Eden woke up on Saturday morning and she said, "Yes, Mummy, I would love to go to the cinema today." I thought, oh God, all right then, let's do it. It's a chance for me to shut my eyes for a couple of hours. I'm not going to refuse that. Anyway, obviously, it doesn't ever go that way, does it? As you will find out. So yes, let's book the cinema. But we found a film that we all pretty much wanted to see, and that was Toy Story 5. Now, bearing in mind, I haven't seen 2, 3 or 4. But I thought to myself, I'm sure it's a film that's pretty easy to follow. You don't need to have seen all the other ones before you've seen 5. It's not like the bloody Die Hard films, is it? So off we trot to the cinema. All right, now whenever we go anywhere, I go prepared for every eventuality that could possibly go wrong. Cinema was no different. So in my handbag, I have the loop earplugs in case it's too loud. I have a selection of small fidget toys to help Eden if she starts getting distracted. Plenty of snacks, not paying cinema prices. Add some pick and mix. Now, just quick side note, when you choose pick and mix for children, okay, especially if it's to keep them busy in the cinema, you need to be looking for chewy things that last longer than your average sweet. Because you don't want things like little chocolate buttons or Smarties, they're like gone in an instant. You want things that they can chew and is going to keep them busy and quiet and last them for the duration or the best part of the film. You've got to pull out the big guns when you go to the pick and mix stand, yeah. I think the strawberry laces, think the chewy sour cherries. None of these small little chocolate things that dissolve in 2 minutes. No. Okay, so strategic thinking when it comes to pick and mix with children. Okay, so I had that in my handbag. I had Bunny, Eden's comforter, and some nail glue. Because if you have been listening to my podcast before, you'll know that Eden is obsessed with fake nails at the moment. So I put the nail glue in the bag in case of a nail emergency. So, apart from being the most ultra-organised parent on this planet, or at least feeling like it for that short duration of time, what did going to see Toy Story 5 bring to the podcast today? Well, apart from all the things that went wrong while we were in there, including Eden losing a fake nail mid-film, and having to get the torch out on my phone to find the bloody thing under the chair. That was embarrassing. To the child who was screaming so loud, laughing, not crying, just laughing at every single thing that it was really starting to get on my nerves. Love hearing children laugh, but Jesus Christ, this was so loud. And it was like every 20 seconds, just bursting into these fits of laughter. So the whole premise of Toy Story 5 was the idea of technology taking over and basically ruining childhood, taking away the idea of play and imagination And these electronic toys and tablets were coming into these children's lives and replacing the old toys that the children no longer wanted to play with because they were just fixed on the screens. And there's a scene in the film where the toys get on the roof, and they look at all the houses at night with all the lights on, and all they can see is just parents, children, just on screens, just like laptops and tablets and phones. And it's quite sad, the main message of the film being that technology is here to stay and it's about finding a way to live with it. However, in terms of business owners, it really got me thinking because I was watching this film and I was looking about how all these toys felt like they were worthless now. They were so worried about being replaced and they were going to be phased out. And I just kept thinking about how we have spent months talking about AI and how it's replacing jobs, it's replacing writers, it's replacing photographers, marketers like me, websites, replacing Google. We feel like it's replacing us as business owners. Is there going to be any reason for people to want us anymore? And the toys in the film, they spend the whole film wondering, am I still useful? Am I still needed? Have I been replaced? And you tell me that this isn't every small business owner right now panicking about their job. Now, if your business is creating handmade items, then you probably feel safer than perhaps somebody in a service-based business, even a photographer. The things that you can get AI programs now to do to create images. I mean, I know that you can tell a lot of them are AI. You're never going to replace traditional photography, in my opinion, but people are going down the easier route, aren't they? And I think that it's frightening for professions like them and like mine as well. I help people get seen on Google, on platforms like ChatGPT, etc. However, what's to say that people think that they can't just do that themselves now? Well, that's a whole different podcast episode, and you can't, by the way. But back to the toys, not feeling useful anymore, feeling like they're going to be replaced. I think we often feel like that as small business owners as well, and it's scary, isn't it, about how uncertain the future is for us and our businesses. And you have to think about maybe like 20 years ago, people wanted handmade. Like when I started Vintage Twee, my stationery business, people craved and searched out those products that were made by hand so that they could have something different at their wedding, something that nobody else would have. That's what made it unique. And now they want to be able to do it themselves. I noticed a huge shift when I finished the business that people were doing DIY weddings. They could create stuff online themselves, they could print it out, they could order it cheap from certain websites. They didn't need me anymore. Some people still did, some people still valued that, but a lot of people didn't. And the business came to a natural close, I felt. But I think what we have to remember is things are always changing around us, yeah? Technology is one of them. But the fear that we feel as business owners, it stays the same. I mean, every generation of business owner has something in it that makes people think, right, this is it. Nobody needs what I do anymore. And here's where it gets interesting, okay? So as I was watching this film, the toys, they kept thinking that their purpose was to be played with. Yeah, they're toys, they're there to be played with. But their purpose wasn't actually that. Their purpose was helping children. It was to create memories for them, to teach them confidence, maybe help their imagination, make people laugh and give them comfort. That was their main purpose. It never changed. And if we compare it to business owners, you have to think about what your purpose is, okay? Is it to make Instagram posts? No. Unless you're a social media influencer, then yeah. Let's use me as an example, okay? Is my purpose to build websites? No. Is it to write blogs for people? No. They are things that I do. However, my purpose is helping brilliant businesses get seen. And the tools and the way that I do that is going to change. It might be to build a website. It might be to write a blog. It might be to do some keyword research. It might be to go out there and shout from the rooftops about how amazing you are. Those things are my purpose. Those are the ways that I get businesses seen. However, those tools may change depending on what's around at the time. But my purpose will never change. It will always be to help these brilliant businesses get themselves out there and be seen. I'll be honest, right? I've had moments this year where I've wondered, is this whole AI thing just going to replace what I do? People are building websites in an afternoon, they're writing blogs in 5 minutes, they're creating logos instantly. And I'd be lying if I said that it hadn't crossed my mind, because it has. But it can't replace what I do, just for the record. All right. However, in the film, there's a tablet that comes into the film. So one of the electronic devices that is sort of seen as the enemy is called LilyPad. So it's like one of them learning tools that the parents buy the little girl in the film just so she can be all like her friends and have a tablet. And she ends up sort of abandoning her toys to play on the tablet, always making sure it's charged, always trying to join these group chats, ignoring Woody and Jessie, the cowgirl, and her other toys. She just leaves them now on the floor in favour of this LilyPad. And all the toys think this tablet was evil. So the whole film is centred around the tablet being the enemy. Now, if we look at this in terms of AI and business owners, a lot of people feel like it is the enemy. It's going to steal jobs. It's going to put our business at risk. However, the tablet in the film, it wasn't evil at all. It just couldn't replace things like friendship and adventure and comfort and imagination. And I think that's exactly like AI. Yeah. So AI is not bad, but if every business starts sounding identical, guess what becomes valuable? Us. Yeah. Our humour, our stories, our opinions, our personality and experiences. The stories about when Eden lost her fake nail at the cinema and it went under the seat and I spent 25 minutes searching for it on my hands and knees, sweating, swearing under my breath. These things are comedy gold and they help people connect with you and realize that you are human. The stuff that you choose to share on social media in relation to your business or not, that is what connects with people. Imperfection, that's a huge one, isn't it? ChatGPT does do a lot of things wrong, but we don't see it. It's very convincing. Have you noticed how it always tells you that you're right? Even when you tell it and you say, God, that was such a bad idea that you suggested to me. It never says, no, it wasn't. It never stands up for itself, does it? And say, actually, that's a really good idea. What the hell are you talking about? You couldn't have thought of that on your own. No, it says, oh, actually, Joanne, yes, you're right. That was a terrible idea. How about this one instead? And then it chucks you another one, doesn't it? And then you go, yeah, that's better. Okay, keep going. But it doesn't challenge you. And this is where I always see my value, where I come in when I work with clients, because I will always tell them the truth and I'll always help them develop their business in the best possible way. I won't just say what's right for them. I won't just plug everything into ChatGPT and get an answer that comes out and I go and copy and paste it and send it to them. No, because everybody's different. And the reason why people want to work with me is because I'm there to help them figure out what's right and what's wrong for their business, whereas that's something that AI can't ever do. Even though it can make helpful suggestions, it will never challenge you. So whatever it is that you do, you have to think about the fact that AI is not evil. It's not there to ruin your life. It's there to help and assist you. But you will always have something better and bigger to bring to the table that people want. And that is you. Things like the humour, the stories, your personality, your experience. That's everything that AI can't fake. And I think when I was watching Toy Story 5 at the weekend, and I was looking at all these sad little toys feeling despondent and they were shoved in boxes or in the garage and they were like in abandoned Wendy houses, just sat there having their own tea party. It was a really good film. It was really funny. And they were all just feeling like, well, what's the point anymore? Nobody plays with us. No one's interested. And they felt like the world had moved on without them. So if you're feeling like that as well, wondering whether AI or technology or younger businesses are taking your place, I'm here to tell you and to remind you that, do you know what? The world doesn't need another perfect business, right? It doesn't need another identical website. It doesn't need another AI written caption or an AI poster. God, how many of those are circulating at the moment? They're all exactly the bloody same, aren't they? What the world does need, more than ever now, are people. People who care and who understand and who make others feel seen. Because technology is always going to change. There's absolutely nothing we can do about that. And your customers, they're going to evolve, they're going to grow, they're going to change what they need and when they need it. And there's a quote at the end of the film, which is what actually sparked me to record this podcast episode. It's where Jessie the cowgirl comes to a new realisation. And she says this, she says, all that matters is that we were there at the right time to help her along. And she's talking about a little girl who grew up and she didn't need her toys anymore. And she realised that she'd helped her owner at just the right time in her life. So she wasn't useless. She was so valuable because she'd made a difference. And that's the same as business owners. You have to be there for your customers at the right time when they need you. And that's the biggest and best thing you can do, honestly. So if somebody comes to you because, do you know what, they've exhausted ChatGPT, they can't create their own wedding stationery. They don't know how to start a business because it's given them so many different ideas and it's made them feel totally overwhelmed and further behind than they were in the first place. Or maybe they're just craving somebody human to take their problem and to help them with it. There's nothing better than having somebody take away those stresses for you. At the end of the day, you have to remember that people love people. Okay, there's a lot of people that piss us off as well. But on the whole, human beings, we're like pack animals. We like to be together. And if you can solve somebody's problem, 99.9% of people would prefer, I think, a human to help them solve their problem than a computer. All right. People come to me all the time asking me things like, how can I grow my business? You know, there's people out there better than me. I've chat GPT'd it. I've come up with these answers, but I just don't know how to implement them. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it might give you some really good answers. However, it won't help you do them. It won't stick a rocket up your ass and say, right, come on, it's time to get going. Instead of faffing around, making more notes, opening yet another Google Doc, doing more research, watching YouTube, all these things. Instead of doing that, someone who you're accountable to, someone who can say to you, right, have you done that yet? Do you need help doing that yet? Do you want me to do it for you? Like, that's the sort of stuff that cannot happen through technology. And in the film, the comfort that the toys give to the little girl and the opportunities, the play, everything. In the end, she makes a new friend who loves playing equally as much as her. And it's so lovely to see them just completely abandon the technology and just really throw themselves into childhood, you know, and start playing with their toys again. And it's lovely to watch. And that's what I feel like we have to do as business owners. I feel like we have to throw ourselves back into the game, like completely 100% dedicated to our businesses and what it is that we can do for other people. Forget about AI being better than us. It's not better than us. It's there to assist us, but it can never do what we can do for other human beings because we are human. Yeah, and it's the same with the toys. A computer would never give the same level of comfort than Jessie the cowgirl gave to her owner. It would never spark the kind of imagination that that free play did when she was playing with it. It was really good actually in the film because you got to see inside the children's imagination. So as they were playing, and it just really made me think about how important it is to have these tools that make us think so freely. And that I think is the problem. If we get so reliant on AI that we can't do that anymore, we forget how to be creative. So for me, when I was making stuff, I remember that when I was feeling really stuck for ideas, I wasn't able to plug how I was feeling into an AI platform. No. Do you know what I used to do? I used to take myself off and I used to go and look round little small independent shops and I used to look at what was pretty and what looked nice on the shelf and what might make a good idea for a wedding favour, or I'd just try and get some inspiration. Or I'd go into the supermarket and I'd flick through some magazines and I'd see what people were buying for their weddings or what their latest trends and colours were. Sometimes I'd just get out for a walk. I'd go into nature and I'd go up a hill, or I'd walk around the block a few times near where I live. And that would free up some space in my brain for me to really start thinking creatively again. And I just found it really, really helpful. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to go back to these grassroots and think, right, imagine that it didn't exist. It's okay to help us with some things, but creatively, imagine that it didn't exist. Let's use our brains again and let's try and get those cogs, wheels turning so that we can produce our own ideas and bring that human touch back to our business. And one final thought that I just want to finish on before I end this podcast, and it's this. The toys in the film only start to panic when they believed that their value came from being chosen. So they all start to feel like they weren't valuable anymore because the little girl in it, Bonnie, she was choosing the tablet over them. But actually, what they needed to realise was that their value came from who they already were. And I think that's where so many business owners are right now. Right? They're sat there waiting for likes on all their posts, for inquiries to come flooding in, to be wanted, sales or validation just to prove that you're still valuable, because it makes us feel good, doesn't it, when these things happen? Of course it does. We feel busy, we feel successful. But your value isn't created by the latest platform or AI tool or algorithm. And do you know why? Because those things, they are changing constantly. They don't give a shit about you. They will be out of your life as quick as they come into it. But what endures for your business is the experience that you bring. Yeah, the problems that you're solving for people, the relationships that you're building along the way, and more importantly, the way that you make people feel, which is something that I talked about in my last podcast episode. So if you haven't listened to that one, go and check that one out. And I think it's about acknowledging this uncertainty that people are feeling around this whole new age of technology. But we don't need to pretend that it doesn't exist. It does exist. It's not going anywhere. However, in my eyes, I think it only strengthens us as business owners because we can provide so much more than technology ever could. You might not feel like it, but trust me, you can. You have got the magic in your head, in your heart, in your fingertips, through whatever it is that you're creating. Yeah, you can use those tools to assist you, but ultimately the service that you deliver to people is what matters, and the way that you do it. And that can never be artificially recreated. So remember that. And I want this episode to leave you with some hope rather than fear, because I know that that's what a lot of people are feeling right now, and you don't need to feel afraid. If anything, you need to be like the Toy Story toys, and you need to come to that realisation that what you are providing people with is something that no technology can do. That comfort, that whole experience of dealing with a human, that is what makes a brilliant business owner and a successful business. So on that note, I am going to sign off for today. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. It was a really random one that just came to me whilst I was watching the film. I'm not going to lie, I did attempt to have a short nap mid-film after the nail incident, and I was feeling a little bit stressed out. However, I think I got about 17 seconds into closing my eyes, and then Eden was prodding me and asking to come on my knee to watch the rest of the film, which was at least another 45 minutes. So I had numb knees by the end of it. I'd eaten half a tub of her popcorn, which she was literally like shoving it in and dropping it all over me everywhere. She was fidgeting around, moving every 30 seconds or so, uncomfortable, shoes off, asking for a drink, scratching her eczema, asking me every 2 minutes when it was finished, and did I still have the nails that she'd removed in my purse. Whereas Dave's just sat next to me, eating all the pick and mix, laughing at the film, having a great old time, completely oblivious to the drama that was unfolding next to him. In fact, when the lights went up, he was like, looked at me and went, oh, it was really good, that, wasn't it? I was like, yeah, it was great. Said if I'd have seen bloody half of it. Anyway, the joys of motherhood. So, on that note, I'm finishing. But thank you so much for listening this week. I hope you all have a brilliant week. I'm sending sales vibes your way. If you want to drop a comment on this episode, please do get in touch anytime. Just a quick reminder that from September, I am going to be starting to build websites for people So if you are needing a new website or you are looking to optimize your current website, that is something that I can help with. Getting ready for this technology overhaul that's happening at the minute. AI is becoming a huge search engine for people. So we need to make sure our websites are ready for it to be picked up. So if that is something you need help with, please do drop me a message. And it doesn't matter whereabouts in the world you are. Luckily, we have technology. One thing I am thankful for, so we can always stay connected. So it doesn't matter where you are, I can help you. That is all for today. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you next week on the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. Bye for now. If today's episode has made you realise that visibility might be about more than just posting and hoping for the best, you are not alone. This is exactly the kind of thing I help independent businesses with, getting clearer on their story, their services, and how they actually show up online, especially on Google. If you want support that's honest, simple, and rooted in real-life business experience, I'm here. Visit my website, herhandmadehustle.co.uk, to see how we could work together. And if this episode helped you, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And don't forget to share it with someone else today who you think would enjoy it too. Thank you, and see you next time.